Hey everyone. In my group proposal, I suggested a support group for people dealing with trauma. It was kind of hard to think about a group that we could do at my agency, considering that we're a very small private practice with only one clinician. So I had to really think about it and think about what some possible populations would be. Um, Ultimately, what are the common things between our clients? And a lot of our clients are trauma informed care clients and or EMDR. So most of our clients, I would say at least 90%, have some kind of history in trauma, a trauma background that they're trying to get therapy to heal from. So I came up with the idea for a support group for our clients who are dealing with trauma. Um, some icebreakers I thought of. I wrote about just one, which was like list your name and your favorite color, in circle fashion, similar to like an AA or NA meeting probably, like just share your name and your favorite color. But then in a staff meeting that I had last week at work, my supervisor had an icebreaker type activity for us to do, and it was obviously we know each other's names, so we didn't include that part. But tell us your favorite thing about yourself. And I feel like that was a really good idea for this assignment too. So I modified my paper before I submitted it and said favorite color and or your favorite thing about yourself. The favorite color is just like a mindless. It's non-problematic. It's not going to cause an issue, and it's simple. And you can also find people that agree with you or have the same idea as you. But then the favorite thing about yourself just gives an icebreaker that it's not problematic as well, and it also gives a chance for identification of a good thing about you, even if you're coming to a support group for therapy. So that was my idea of an activity or an icebreaker. And then the trauma support group itself, I was thinking based on like experience attending AA and NA meetings for classes that I would like it to go somewhere like that. Like both meetings I've seen previously, um, people who attend are formed in some kind of circle, some kind of um, common area where they're like close enough to hear, and they just kind of go around, and whoever wants to share can. And that's exactly what I would do. You're not forced to speak. Obviously, your trauma is your own, your history is your own, and if you don't want to share about it, then you shouldn't have to. So I was hoping that it would look like that facilitator wise. I would obviously lead the group, identify myself, share about myself first, and then open the floor to anyone who wanted to introduce themselves and speak. I would hope that everyone would want to introduce themselves, just say their name and their favorite thing about themselves, or their favorite color, whichever one. Um, but certainly not everyone has to share about what brought them to the group. And the group would be a closed group. It would be invite only, simply because if you're a client coming to therapy for things that are not trauma related, you really have no place or no common ground at a therapy support group for trauma. We have some like coaching clients who come to therapy just to keep on a baseline of how their life coaching is going. And they probably would not do well in a therapy support group for trauma. So that's why it would be invite only. And I went through our client list at the agency, and 30 out of 39 clients are there for trauma informed care. So I feel like there's potential for a huge number of attendees. And our space is not that big. I don't think it would hold 30 at one time, and even if it did, it would make the meeting very long, very monotonous, and kind of overwhelming. So I pointed out that I would divide the number of attendees. Hypothetically speaking, if we got 30, we would divide the 30 into two groups of 15. That is a more feasible option. That's definitely more accommodating for our space, and it gives a chance for the group to be personal. 15 people speaking or commingling together is a lot more quaint and intimate than 30 at one time. So that was my idea. Have like group A and group B, and then just each group meets once a month. So for myself and Adria, the supervisor, owner, founder of the agency, hopefully we could both be there. If not, we could just take turns who's going to lead which group. But for us, it would be two meets a month. So my idea in my paper was like Group A can meet on the first Monday of every month, and then Group B can meet on the third Monday of every month, and that way it's regular schedule for us and them. Each group gets once a month, and we do twice a month. So that was my idea for that. And as far as rating the effectiveness or the efficacy of the group, I suggested having like review cards. I know I used to work at domestic violence agency, and when clients would leave shelter, we would give them confidential, anonymous, like no name attached to it, slips that like honestly rated us. Did they feel like they got help? Were they going back to their abuser? Could we have done anything differently? What did we do well? Like things like that. And it was anonymous, and a lot of times clients who did those were very honest. They said, I didn't like this part about this, or you could have done better here. I did like this part. So that's kind of what I would hope for the group. It could also be anonymous, no name attached to it. And it could also be a chance to identify yourself if you chose to, and then a problem that you have but you're not comfortable sharing publicly. So if like John Doe came to the group and he had a really, really tough time speaking about his trauma, but he wanted to address it in some form, he could simply put his name, just need to talk, and we could set up a meeting that way with clients who were struggling. In the group, I made sure to mention this in the paper, but a group of this nature, I would also expect it to be like open door policy, like you're free to go anytime. If something is triggering to you, if you're not feeling like you're getting anything out of it, if you're just coming and you realize, oh, not my cup of tea, I'm not really sure I'm ready for this, or you feel like trauma bonding is taking place, then like you're free to go. Obviously be respectful to someone who might be speaking, but you are like you're not being held here. You're free to go. And I thought that was really important because having stress of my own, I know if I sat in a room full of 15 people that were talking about how stressed they are, it may be a bit overwhelming. So I can only imagine a trauma group. If someone were sharing something that may be triggering to someone else, like, you do not have to stay here and listen to this. You're free to go. And then ideally, I put in the paper that Adria would be there because she is the LCSW. She's the owner, founder, and clinician in the office. And she would be able to directly help people. I mean, I could too, but she is credentialed and licensed to do that kind of work. And she's obviously their therapist. Shows she's very familiar. So that's what I would do with my group. Just basing my group off of NA and AA meetings I have been to. It would be much like that. Just come, enjoy each other, make connections with each other, and then with that came the confidentiality agreement. Obviously, if you can't agree to the agreement about confidentiality, whoever you see in this group should not be named outside of the group. You should not discuss people. You can't tell your friend, oh, I saw so-and-so at this group I'm in. That outs them. That breaks their confidentiality with us. So that would not be okay. If you can't agree to that, you can't come. I would hope that you could come, make friends, find peers that you resonate with, but you cannot go to Walmart and holler across the aisle that you saw someone at the group and it was good to see them in Walmart today. Like, you can't do that. So that would be a thing for this kind of group. Don't out someone else's trauma. Their story is theirs to share, not yours. So that was the thing I mentioned in the paper. And then as far as people who are in the group, you're free to share, but it's not forced. If you don't want to, you don't have to. And then that was basically it. Open, come and go as you please, respectfully, of course. And then for finances and financial burdens, I am not foreseeing a whole lot of expenses related to this. The only thing I can think of is that we would need to rent or buy chairs. We have storage for them, so that wouldn't be an issue. But we would need to find chairs, rent or buy, either one. And agency has an account for expenses, the revenue account for anything that the agency needs, so that could be just included in that. And then maybe a refreshment cost, but in the paper I said I would like to see those donated. There's plenty of shops, businesses, restaurants close to us that I would hopefully get donations from. And if that wasn't possible or that wasn't feasible, then I would either take it upon myself to use my personal money to buy cheap refreshments or just make some. Like, it's not mandatory to have coffee and lemonade and water and snacks at every meeting, but it would be nice, I feel like. So if I couldn't get donations, I would just do it. That would be the only financial expense I can foresee, but I could be wrong. There could be surprises. So that basically covers all of it. I would like to have a meeting similar to AA, NA, or domestic violence support groups, things like this. Just come, make friends, share if you want to share, and if not, just be a support to someone else, or you get support yourself, either one. I feel like all bases were covered, and it's not a very detailed group, but it could also be helpful. Considering that we don't have anything like this right now, and we have that many clients with a history and trauma, I don't feel like it could do any harm to have an idea like this. There probably need to be a lot more ironing out of details, but that's just my idea. A trauma support group where our clients don't have to feel so alone. Even though they're getting therapy, they probably do wish they had people to talk to. So that was my idea. And excuse me. And I'm actually talking to Adria, my supervisor at the agency now, about making this happen. So I hope we see it come to fruition. If not, something similar would be great. So that's basically it. That's what I have in mind for my group. And I apologize for my dog being a distraction. He just had surgery, so he's hanging out. You guys have a great week.